So, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Mind Munch. First of all, I would like to thank you all for supporting and give that strength to us doing this great work in continuation. So, as we promised that every Friday we'll come up with some videos where we can talk about the issues that are causing some problems in your personal life, which is like related to mental health. Mental health is something that everyone, like all of us, have neglected at some point of life where we thought that this is not that big deal, but it is a big deal, and we have to take it something that we are caring about our physical health. It is as important as our physical health. So today we are here to discuss one more topic, and for that we have our expert with us. Let me introduce her first. Her name is Shadi Razavian. She's our registered member of Mind Group. She's a psychologist, therapist, and a coach. Shadi, thank you so much for your time and welcome to Mind Group Munch.
Hi, Anya. Thank you for having me here. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you, dear. So, Shadi, a first thing that I wanted to ask is that there is various, personality disorder, and one of them is borderline personality disorder, which is
That's
BPD. So, I just wanted to know that you can, explain to our audience. आप हमारी audience को अगर समझा सके कि borderline personality disorder क्या है, उसका, what is the nature of this disorder, how it, you can identify in someone.
yeah. Okay, so yes, as you said, there are many, personality disorders. So they fall into various categories. Actually, I don't get into the technical jargon of it because it's very boring for the layman. But they fall into clusters. So there is a cluster that is mostly based on mood and mood disorders there, and one of them is borderline personality disorder. Technically, it's a mood disorder. Now, why would I call it a, and the concept basically, the word, borderline came in when they noticed that the symptoms are bordering between neurosis and psychosis. Now, what is neurosis? Neurosis is basically any mental illness that is based on, the moods, depression, like depression, anxiety, based on stresses, okay? And psychosis, of course, people who get disconnected with reality. So for a borderline personality disorder person, they kind of shift from one into another. So the numbers are pretty large. Funnily enough, in India, I think it's not been really noticed as much because a lot of people are diagnosed with depression first. But the truth remains that many people who are suffering with BPD, they also simultaneously they are having major depression, and they also could be bipolar. So yes, so this is a very common thing that people think a person is having depression, but if you get deeper into a diagnosis, it could be BPD as well. Now, basically, what are the symptoms? Major symptom that if you look at it, a person who now I find it very funny because when I list down the symptoms, a lot of people will go, okay, there are many people like that, but it has to be the extreme. Okay, number one is self-image. They have major self-image issues. In fact, one of the main issues is self-image, how they see themselves and how that issue causes their relationship with others. So the next issue is they have very, very unstable relationships. They just get into these extremely close relationships, which all of a sudden, probably overnight, for no specifically logical reason, it can just break up. They have issues with abandonment. They're very suspicious, a lot of people. For them, there is no gray. It's black, white. So obviously, everything gets blown out of proportion. Some other symptoms would be like impulsiveness. They are extremely impulsive people. You find such people getting not sticking to one job. They lose their jobs very frequently. Why? Because they are impulsive. They have anger issues. They have absolutely inappropriate anger, which obviously causes them to get into huge fights with almost in every relationship that they are. Um, mood swings, their anger can very quickly shift into a depression. So if you look at it, as I said, when I list down these things, a lot of people will say, okay, there are a lot of people like this. But you see, many of us have, issues with relationship. Many of us, whether we recognize it or not, have self-image issues. But if these symptoms are causing your life to not, they're disturbing your life, you're becoming dysfunctional, that is when it can get into a diagnosis. That's why, according to DSM, which is the holy book for clinical psychology, basically it's a list of all the disorders that they have accumulated with the symptoms. There are a series of symptoms which, as a specialist, one has to work with the patient and observe for a few months to see how consistent these symptoms are existing and how serious they are, how out of control of that patient they are. And then I would go and say, okay, the diagnosis is that you're a BPD. It doesn't mean that anybody who's having relationship issues is a borderline personality disorder. That confusion does come with people. But these are some of the basic symptoms that you can observe in such people. So, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for your answer, Shadi. It was very we can relate to the thing that we have seen people like this. Could you tell us the challenges of disorder people may face?
Challenges they themselves face are humongous, I tell you. I have had patients of BPD. I have known people who have, friends who have been suffering. Number one challenge is that they never accept that they need help. So that happens with many disorders, and it also happens because of the way society is. You beautifully opened the session by talking about how important mental health is, and a lot of people don't want to get into therapy. They don't want to accept that there is something that they need to work on a mental level. Unfortunately, we don't realize that. If I always tell people, if you have a dental problem, do you go to dentist or do you sit and try and do it yourself? The same way, if you have some issues with your mind, you're unable to face life, or you have constant depression, relationship issues, or XYZ, then you must go to someone who can hold your hand along the way. Anyways, so they do have an issue of not accepting that there is something wrong with them. They kind of, as I said, holding on to jobs, very difficult. They almost never hold on to a job. And when I say hold on, they don't they don't just move on from one job to another. They have fights. They have, issues that are going to, like they kind of want to file a FIR against the guy. That to that extent, they really take it to another level, because I said inappropriate anger is one of the signs. Next thing, relationships. They either are, like, if you're with a guy who's suffering from BPD, honestly, I would say take a step back, because they are the super nice and super positive, which in a second it can turn into suspicion and measure fights, and fights to another level, because their anger is out of their control. And then another issue that the biggest challenge, I would say, is they are people who self-sabotage, they self-harm. You find a lot of such people talking about suicide, talking about leaving and going. They kind of, in the relationship, they're constantly on that route of, if this happens, I am just going to, you will never see me again. I will just go away, So they do have those conversations very often or not. So these are huge challenges. As I said, it's very difficult for them to have stable relationships, even with their own parents, probably. It's very tough on them, I would say. But challenges for a person who's living with that kind of, with a loved one who's suffering from, borderline disorder. I would say, like any other mental health issue, it is not easy. You love your sibling, friend, spouse, parent, whoever is suffering from a mental health. Nobody doubts that. But it is a challenge. It's very difficult for various reasons. One, you don't know how to handle it. You do not have the knowledge to handle it. That's where people like me or others come in, because you really don't know how to behave with them. You want to be nice to them, and it just boomerangs at you and it becomes a huge thing, or you get irritated with them sometimes, because we all have our own threshold. I've seen mothers who get irritated with their child, the son who's or daughter who's suffering from borderline. It's not because the mother doesn't love the child. It's just because she has her own threshold. There's a limit. You can see anger, tantrums, or instability for your child, because you'll be worrying. Yeah? Why can't you hold the job? Why can't you hold the marriage? Why can't you? So it's like really difficult. So I would say uh, the only advice I can give parents is be there for them, convince them that they need help, and that if they go for help, they are still loved equally. It has nothing to do, the love portion has nothing to do with their behavior. Tell them that I understand this behavior is not in your control. I'm there for you. I'll be there. And I love you no matter what. You go to therapy, you don't go to, I love you. But if we want to be nice together, we want to have a good life, you need to take care of this, because we are only fighting or we are only suffering. Of course, much easier said than done. It's easy for me to sit here and say all this. But the only thing when you are in that situation is to try, or you give up. So that's the, yeah.
Yeah, true, Shadi. I mean, it is very difficult, for people to cope up with the patient, because they are also not, able to explain this themselves, like what exactly they are going through. And we are not even, in that particular state of mind to accept that there is something, they are facing some issues which is not that easy to adjust. Like, so my next question is to, for the people who are living with the, BPD patient, what kind of things they can take care of, so that they can create a least chaos in their personal life as well.
I think I already mentioned, most importantly, if you are having a BPD patient in your home, talk to a therapist. Talk to a therapist and be in connection with a therapist. It's not only about the patient. The person close to the patient must be in contact with a therapist for two reasons. One, keep checking. This happened. How do I not aggravate the situation? How do I calm the person down? So that's one thing. Secondly, believe it or not, a person who's handling a mental health patient needs therapy themselves. It's very funny. A lot of people don't agree with this, but I truly believe, because you yourself are under so much pressure that you need a let out somewhere, or you can't do justice to the person that you are trying to help. Everybody needs, it's like, if you're in an airplane, you need oxygen mask, you've got to put for yourself first and then put it for the next person. So it's, you can't be okay, I just sacrifice my life for this person, and then at some point everybody falls apart. So definitely be in touch with a therapist, find out how to go about this. You've got to have a lot of patience. You've got to have a lot of patience in life any which way, but with such people, even more so. Because the thing is that people who are suffering from BPD, it's not like they are, you can just write them off, put them in an institution and say, okay, I've helped that person. They don't need institutionalization. They are lovely, smart people when you talk to them. They are absolutely most of the times normal when you converse with them. It's just that they have these issues on various areas of life where they don't know how to handle situations. And a lot of it, as I said, it comes from their, confused self-image. And yes, they need treatment. They need therapy. They need medication. Definitely, it is a must. So there are areas that a therapist would work on them, basically. As I said, self-image is one of the important ones. The other thing that would be working with the mood swings, because they have to manage to stabilize their moods. Then you have to work with the problems with the relationships. So these are areas that a therapist would be working. But as a person who is not a therapist, all you can do is, as I said, it's like walking on eggshell, I think, a little bit with such people, because you never know when the tantrum begins, when the pointing finger begins, because there are people blame a lot.
Hmm.
They take responsibility for their own actions. So it's all about blaming someone else. That's why it's a suspicious relationship that they have. They're always suspicious about their spouse, their everybody, even their friends. They think that my friend, it's like me versus the world for them.
Oh,
Like
okay.
everybody is coming to get me kind of a feeling. And that's really not nice.
Yeah,
Difficult to
they are.
fight.
It is like they are battling their own battle with their own self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
true. Definitely, it will be a very difficult situation for the person who is suffering from BPD, and as well as the people who are living with people, loved ones who have such issues. So next question, Shadi, will be like people who are aware about BPD and everything, but they don't know how to the treatment goes on. So can you please explain something about the treatment, that how it will and what treatment they can ask for a BPD
Sure.
patient?
Sure. So basically, once you're diagnosed, the diagnosis happened, any psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist basically would definitely send them for therapy. Now, psychotherapy is definitely one of the thing, but one of the kind of a type of a therapy that in fact was developed for especially for borderline disorder was DBT. Now, DBT is dialectical behavior therapy. And as I was mentioning, the therapist works on four areas: the self-image, the impulsive behavior, and the mood management, and also relationship with others. So these are the four areas that to be very honest, any therapist is going to work on that. Also, CBT works pretty well. That is cognitive behavioral therapy. That basically in CBT, as a therapist, like I'm a CBT therapist, so what I would emphasize on to make the patient understand the connection between their thoughts and their behavior. So that will give them some kind of a control over their emotional management, and also it helps in how they face problems in relationships, you see. So there are, as I said, group therapies work sometimes. It depends on the person. Sometimes group therapy is pretty good for them because it depends on how the person connects with others. But as I said, not to begin with. Probably to begin with, they can't even connect to that group of people. However, it varies from person to person. The therapist would advise, you know, let's try group therapy or not, based on the patient. There are some skills which they need to develop along the way. Now, these skills are basically mindfulness, very, very important skill, because as I said, any mood disorder, for that mindfulness is a part of treatment for them. After that, they need to learn tolerance towards disturbance. That's something that they do not have. So they need to develop the tolerance level towards disturbances. They also need to learn to regulate their emotions, as I said, extreme inappropriate angers which go to depression. So they need to work on skills of regulating their emotions. And finally, of course, interpersonal relationships. They need to learn how to handle relationships. And what there, of course, as it's very easily listed out, it takes time. And if I would say prognosis for such people, if a borderline disorder person is going to absolutely be clear of it, no, it is not going to happen. But can they be managed? Yes, they can be managed through therapy and through drugs also. They mostly need antidepressants, they need mood stabilizers, and some of them even need antipsychotic. There are some of them who have this tendency of hearing voices, or having visions, hallucinations kind. So they will need antipsychotic as well. So that's something that the psychiatrist would have to decide. So, but generally, antidepressants are pretty common to be given to them, because, as I said, a lot of them suffer from depression alongside, BPD. So this is a course of treatment that is very normal. It's must. It works. Nobody should expect magic. It does not work in a short while. It is a long-term treatment. For that matter, if the person really, really recognizes how important this is, and if they have the desire to lead a nice, empowered life, this is a long-term therapy for them. It's not a short-term therapy.
True, Shari. Like they have to have that patience, then and only we can, any expert can help them. As platform Mindro is also doing the same thing that they are Mindro is always happy and eager to help people who are really need experts like you. So we are always doing our bit that we can help people when because it is definitely a very very difficult condition for each and everyone who face such situation as a patient or a loved one or family member. So the next question is like you talked about the treatment and everything, but is there any stages for this particular disorder that like mild or moderate or something it's like very in extreme level they can need to take care of it or something like that? Is there any
Um,
stage?
okay, interesting. So I don't see it as stages, frankly speaking, because it is as I said, it's very cyclic any which way. That's why it's a mood disorder. It's like they have this extreme moods, right? So they could be kind of okay, as I said, you talk to a person, he seems okay, but smallest of triggers can just, that's what it is. Like tiniest of triggers, it just takes them into another level. So if I would say there are stages, no, I would say if you are suffering from any of these symptoms that I mentioned, or you know someone who's suffering, who's unable to hold on to a job, unable to have relationships which are meaningful. See, we all have issues with relationships. There's nothing wrong in that. But what is the level of it? And if a person is constantly suffering from mood swings, depression, I think it is important to talk to a therapist, at least, if not directly to a psychiatrist. A lot of people don't want to go to a psychiatrist due to the fact that they believe, yeah, obviously, I mean, a psychiatrist would first give you the drug, an antidepressant, anxiety. That's what they give generally. But that would work. If it works, fine. But if you still see that you are not able to be in that, in a healthy kind of a mental state where you have good relationship, where you're okay, when you're not feeling sad, where you're not swinging from, anger to sadness, then you're good. But otherwise, then you definitely need to go back and say, I need a therapist. And there has to be a deeper diagnosis onto that. I would say these people, I think it is important for them to um, reach out in a way any moment. I think for anybody, you don't have to be a borderline disorder person to go to a therapist. Basically, if you feel you've had a tough life, because we didn't get into that. So one major cause of people suffering from BPD, probably this must have been your next question, is childhood trauma. So if you've had a traumatic childhood, because many of them report abusers, mental, sexual, physical abusers while growing up, specifically from primary caregivers. So if you had a tough childhood, I think it's only fair to see that if I'm not able to cope with life right now, and I know that I went through so much as a child, I think I need to reach out for help, not to wait. I don't think it's fair on yourself because life is not that long. It's not fair to waste it and wait for something tremendously drastic to happen and then you recognize you need a therapist.
It's
Yeah.
true, Shari. I think we also, always trying to convey this message to people that if you face anything in your childhood, that will also hoover you in your adulthood. It is like a childhood trauma that will, hoover you. Like there will be definitely your trigger points, which will give you extremely mood swings or depression or anxiety attacks or panic attacks. So this is something very serious. You need to take care of it. You have to ask for a help if you're facing any kind of issue like this. You have to ask for a help. Mindro is always there with the expert to help you. If you have we always get a lot of messages through emails and Instagram DMs or any other ways, but people who always ask about that I am facing this thing and that thing, but I don't know how to ask people whom I need to go to. They don't even know that whom they need to contact. They have
Mhm.
no idea about the therapies or counseling. So this is something really sad part. As an expert, I wanted to know your view about the condition of mental health awareness in India.
Oh, this topic has been really dissected last 2 years. I know that, and it's fantastic. Unfortunately, it took a pandemic for us to recognize the importance of mental health. But it's better late than never, I would say. It has changed. I personally get a lot of calls. People call, they message, they need help. But I still say there is a reservation towards therapy. There's an extreme reservation towards reaching out, opening up opening up. And also, people do not realize the commitment that as a therapist or a psychologist or a psychiatrist we have to make sure that this is completely confidential. A lot of people fear when they come and talk to me, they say, but I don't want anyone to know. There is no question of me letting anybody, even the closest person to me, come to know what is the discussion. And that is something that they need to have faith on the professionals. We are here with some, with some kind of a commitment. And definitely, of course, you must choose a professional that you're comfortable with, you trust. Building trust is one of our first factors that we need to work on. So we definitely work hard to build that trust with our patients, but also they need to have that faith in us. They need to know that definitely this relationship is completely not based on non-judgment, acceptance, and complete confidentiality. So a lot of people are really scared, I would say, even though today we see Instagram is full of people who are talking about mental health, people who are talking, putting up discussions, and which is fantastic. But I say there is a long way to go for everyone to understand. Believe it or not, everybody needs therapy at some point of time. Even as therapists ourselves, there are moments that you want to talk to your other therapist friend because there are things that you feel that you need another point of view. And there is a misconception that people think, okay, counseling or therapy, okay, there's a couch, I go lie down, I just say something. That picture is there in people's mind. Well, no more that is the case. One is that these days we have all virtual sessions because people are not really still not really okay with connecting with each other physically. And also this has been a boon in a way because a lot of people, I mean, I have clients from the US. And so it's made it even better because now we can connect to each other and you still get the same results. You get absolute same results. There is no difference. And I have people who I say, I mean, if you don't want a video call, I can do an audio call. If you don't want to see my face, you don't want me to see your face. So this confidentiality is existing. A lot of people still hold themselves back. I really admire platforms like yours. I'm part of a couple of platforms like yours, and you guys are doing amazing work. It just gives people a place to go. But most people really don't know, okay, I need someone to talk to, where do I go? And it is great that in an app at a fingertip, they can have options, they can look, and it's completely safe. They should know that the data is not going to go anywhere. There is nothing that they have to worry about. So I believe you guys are doing great work. So it's amazing to be part of this. I'm really excited about being part of such platforms. I hope that will change their point of view.
True, true. Thank you so much for your appreciation, Shadi. Because as platform, we also wanted people can, take the advantage of all the expert because they are there to help you guys. You don't need to, if Shadi already mentioned that if you guys are worried about your identity and everything, that is completely privacy we are providing. You don't need to, if you are not comfortable to seeing each other, you just guys can, have a voice call and you guys can, connect and talked about your issues. They all expert are have their like as Shadi already mentioned, they have that professional commitments. They are not allowed to share a single word with anyone, not even their loved ones. They don't share any single word with anyone, so your privacy will be maintained. So you don't need to worry about it. You just need to have choose your person that you feel that if that person can help you, and you just need to you can start with your therapies. And therapies are something very, very important. Shadi already said that everyone should have to go to therapist once in a life. It's definitely a once in a life experience because it is a journey towards your own self. You can find your own self, your you will find some amazing truth about your own self, because I have word with all of you guys, like jab bhi whenever I have a conversation with you all, it is always so beautiful. I was not that time on therapy, but still I feel that this is something very I can't even explain in the words. This was very joyful experience to talk all these therapies. It is very beautiful experience. Everybody should go to at least once in a life for a therapy. Shadi, your message towards our audience.
My message to everyone is, if you go to a therapist, it does not make you weak, it does not make you woo woo in the head, it doesn't make you a crazy person or a person who is incapable of resolving his own issues, because a lot of people feel it makes you a weak person. You are not weak. Indeed, you are an aware human being. You're aware that there is something not right in my life. I am not happy with myself, whether it's physically, whether it is emotionally. I am not satisfied. You know, we deserve to be happy. Life, as I mentioned before, to me, I believe life is beautiful. It is not that long, and we are here. We better make the best of this journey that we have taken, and just live it to the fullest. We don't have to be suffering. A lot of people believe, who said life is fair, life sucks, and all those kind of things. So you think if you're suffering with your self-image, with your body, with your mind, with your relationship, your job, it's okay, it's normal. It is not normal. We deserve to be happy, we deserve to find ourselves. And for that, you probably need someone like me, or there are many lovely professionals who will help you, who will hold your hand. I'm not here to teach you what's your life. I'm not here to give you a purpose in life. That's all inside you. But yes, I can definitely help you to find what is inside you. That is where sometimes we all get all confused. And then one professional, somebody who we can connect to, someone we can build a trustworthy relationship, can just shift our life completely. And don't expect one sitting with a therapist and nothing happened. It doesn't work like that. So with a therapist, we need to build that, relationship first. Once you have that relationship, it can be an extremely positive and, life-changing experience. So give it a shot. And if anybody tells you go to therapist, say, yeah, you also should go. That's exactly should be your reply, because I'm aware. I'm aware that there is something not the way I want in my life, and I want to change it. That is taking responsibility for your own life. It is not being weak. It's being very, very strong. So that's my message to people.
Thank you so much, Shari, for your beautiful message towards our people. Thank you. It was great having you, Shari. It was a great experience. We learned a lot of things. I'm sure my audience also have a lot of clarity about disorders. Um, Unfortunately, we're taking keeping these things as a disorder, but this is some issues that we are facing in our day-to-day life. They all can don't take it as a disorder. It is something we can say, like it is something that we all can deal with it. So guys, please don't keep yourself like in that particular or we can say, don't hide behind your issues yourself. You don't hide.
You hide it from people. You hide your headache or stomach ache or back ache from people. So if you have something that is related to your mind, you don't have to hide it.
Of course, like you don't need to hide yourself from the world. That if you have any kind of issue, like emotional issue, we are not talking about the disorder, but if you find your emotions with difficulty with your emotions, dealing with your emotions, you can ask for help. Every expert is there at Mindro platform. You can just go to platform, select whatever whosoever you wanted to talk, and you just can start your therapies or counseling. So it's very easy. And thank you so much, Shadi, for your time. It was great talking to you.
You're most welcome.
Yeah, thank you, dear. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah.